Hi guys, Eddie Case back here today to talk about the material list. All right, this is the list of materials that you're going to need to put your basement project together. And I have found that most folks have no idea what they're really getting into, what really goes into a basement job. All right, it's not just a couple 2x4s and some drywall. There's a bunch of stuff involved with one of these, and I want to get you in that mindset. So I'm going to give you a list today, an overview list, and then tomorrow what we're going to do is I'm going to put a price tag with these so that you can kind of come up with a budget, an initial budget for what you're going to be getting into material-wise. So you can put your wish list together for your basement, all the different things you might want, a bathroom, a bar, a home entertainment zone, or you know, another bedroom, whatever it is on your wish list. With the list that we're going to have today, you'll be able to take these materials, add them up, and then you know, start your budget, which is really where you begin the initial phase of a construction project. Does it fit into my budget? All right, so we're going to work on your budget tomorrow. But today, let's get the list of materials going. All right, the first thing that you're going to do on a basement project is you're going to be framing. All right, so we're going to start with the framing lumber, with the 2x4s. And I want to let you know that this list that I'm going to give you, this list of materials, I'm giving it to you in a chronological order, in the stages of the project as it would progress. All right, this is the way that I do every job. All right, the way that I'm going to give you this list of materials and the way that we're going to be plugging them into the project is the way that I do every job. This is the workflow, okay? So I'm going to keep it that way for you to simplify the process for you. So let's start with our 2x4s. All right, this is going to be our plates, which is the top and bottom piece of wood in a wall. All right, that's the top and bottom plate, and the studs. And the studs are just going to be your 2x4s. Okay. If you've got a basement that's from the concrete floor to the floor joist overhead 8 foot or less, you're going to get 8 foot 2x4s, 8 foot studs. If it's more than 8 foot, up to 9 foot, you're going to get 9 foot studs. So it's really going to depend on the height of your basement from the concrete floor to the floor joist, what length studs you're going to be ordering. All right. But with the plates and the studs, you're going to be able to frame your walls, your ceiling, your soffits, and any built-in bookcases, whatever. It'll all be done with this initial 2x4 order. All right, so that's number one. Number two is going to be our fasteners. Now the fasteners is going to be simple things like nails, screws, and the thing that we call shot and pins. Probably wondering what shot and pins are. Well, I'll tell you. Shot and pins are a nasty little device that go through the bottom plate of your wall that fasten the bottom plate to the concrete. All right. The pin is a 2.5 inch hardened steel nail with little fins on it. It slides into the barrel of a power actuated gun. The shot is actually the load that goes in the gun that will fire the nail out of the end of the gun. Okay, it's a ram set gun. It's a power actuated tool. You can buy them at Home Depot. All right, Home Depot sells this device. I think it's like 49 bucks for one of the low end ones, but you're going to want to get one because you don't want to go around and have to nail all of your walls to the floor using cut nails or hardened steel hand driving nails on a hammer. It's no fun, and it's also dangerous to do. So the power actuated gun, some hearing protection, some safety glasses, and run around and shoot your walls down. It's so much easier. You're gonna love the tool. All right, so there's our fasteners, our nails, our screws. The nails are gonna be for my framing nail gun. I don't do any hand nailing. I don't suggest you do either. You can buy an inexpensive framing gun and air compressor at Home Depot, which is where I buy all my tools, the Home Depot. And if you don't want to buy the equipment, rent it. Rent it for a week or so. It's much cheaper, but I don't recommend that you try to hand nail your basement. It's not the way I teach you how to do things. All right, after we get the walls framed, the basement framed up, ceiling, soffits, and whatnot, we're going to start putting things into the wall like electric. And the electric's going to be your wire, your 12-2, 14-2, 14-3 wire. I talk more about that in another video, but you're going to need your wire. Your boxes are what you nail to the wall for your outlets, your switches, your cable, your phone, that type of thing. All of your boxes. Recessed lighting fixtures. All right, they're the cans, those canisters. Those are the fixtures to go up in the ceiling between the floor joists and then get drywalled into the project. They have to go in at the same time as the electric, so I'm including that in the electric list. And then you'll need your outlets, your switches, your breakers. Bunch of stuff on that electric list, but I want you to get a good feel on what's going to be going into these walls. So I'm just kind of giving you an overview. I'm not exactly telling you, 5 rolls of wire and 40 blue boxes and 12 canisters. I'm just grouping things into main categories here so that you get a feel of what's actually going to be going in your project. All right, after we get the electric done, I like to do the plumbing. Now, if you don't have a bathroom or a bar, you're probably not going to be too concerned about this plumbing list, although you may be moving a pipe or two just to make it work out for your floor plan. So there might be a tiny bit of plumbing. But if you're doing a bathroom or a bar, you're going to want your water lines on this list here. And actually, we use PEX, P, there we go, PEX. All right, that's the water system we use, and I show you how to use that in another video, future video. We've got our waste lines. All right, that's going to be the PVC lines that take the bad water away. Good water lines, the bad water lines. All right. We also have in the plumbing our let's see. The water lines, waste lines. Really, the only other thing is the fittings. And the fittings are all the little pieces that you're going to use to put the plumbing puzzle together, to connect the waste lines from point A to point B, to connect your water lines from point A to point B. All right, all the fittings. All right, when we get the plumbing done, I like to jump into the HVAC, which is just a way of saying your heating and cooling. All right, and for the heating and cooling, you're going to use things like flex duct. Flex duct's either going to be, it can be anywhere from 4 inch to 8 inch, depending upon what you're feeding. If you're feeding a bathroom, it's probably going to be 4 inch. If you're feeding a big room, probably 8 inch, 7 or 8 inch. There's different sizes. Flex duct is a flexible piece of duct work that's insulated that goes from your furnace or your air handler to your new ceiling feeds and your wall returns, okay? You can buy it at Home Depot. It comes out of a box about yay big, but there's 25 feet of this stuff in there. It's got a spring in the middle of it, and when you take it out of the box, it like grows like 25 feet. So you're gonna wanna get that. That's what you're gonna be running your central air conditioning and heating in. And I'm telling you now, guys, I tell my clients this, in case you don't know, you need moving air in the basement. You have to tap into your existing HVAC system so that you get fresh air coming in and return air pulling that bad air back out and constantly filtering it, all right? I don't even recommend that you finish your basement unless you do this. And if you don't have a system, you might want to consider putting a zone in the basement so that you have it. All right, and that's something I talk about more in another video. So your HVAC, you're also going to have electric heat, which is a backup. All right, backup electric heat, 220 volt electric heat. I like to put those in because if something happens to the primary system, you always have a backup system, okay? So your HVAC, and along there, you're also going to need your grates, your wall grates with the damper controls for your feed air in the ceilings and then return air in the walls, all right, so that you can regulate the system. So you need your grates. All right. Now we've got it framed, we've got our electric, we've got our plumbing, we've got our HVAC in the wall. Once we get all that packed in the wall, now we can go ahead and we can insulate our wall cavities, insulate our basement. So insulation. All right, and I use 3.5 inch fiberglass insulation. It's got an R13 value and it's 16 inches on center. 16 inches on center means it fits in the wall cavities that I framed in my walls, which are every 16 inches, okay? I don't frame anything 24 inches on center. It's always going to be 16 inch. Now, the R13, that's what my inspectors expect here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That's the R value that they expect. If you live in Canada, up north, if you live in the deep south, you're going to have different R values that are required by your code officer. All right. If you pull permits, they're going to come out. They're going to inspect your installation. They're going to make sure that you have the proper R value in your basement. If you're pulling permits, even if you're not, you should still have it. So, if you want to find out what's required, just call your township building, your municipality, your city, whoever's going to be issuing permits, and ask them, you know, hey, I'm doing my basement. What R value is expected of me when I insulate my walls? All right, and then you'll know. All right. So once we have the insulation in, the next thing that we're going to be doing is going to be our drywall. All right. But we're going to stop here for a second, and we're going to say that this is order number 1. All right. This is the delivery here. All right, I try to do my basement in stages of delivery so that I'm not running back and forth to the supplier to buy stuff 10 times a job. All right, I like to get it all on 1, 2, 3 trucks, and it simplifies the process for me then. All right, I don't like running back to the store 50 times. So this list, although not super detailed here today, I can give you a much more detailed version of this, and I do in one of my courses about basement remodeling. But for this purpose now, I'm just going to say these are the items, the main items that come on the first truck. Not how much of each, but this is what is going to be coming on the truck. These phases will be included in that delivery. All right. The next phase is kind of a phase all to itself. All right. Nothing else is going on during the next phase, and that's the drywall. All right. This is a job that is completely alone from everything else. It's a messy job, it's a dirty job, and I don't, you know, I've got everything in my walls up to this point here. The drywall comes in, we stock it, we do the complete job, it's ready for paint before anything else starts. All right, and for the drywall, we need the board, the actual drywall itself. We use 1/2 inch. You may need 5/8, you may need a different thickness of drywall where you live. Your code officer may require it. So again, call your code officer, ask the question, you know, is there a specific thickness of drywall that I need to be using to pass my inspections? All right, you may need 5-inch fire retardant drywall in the ceiling. You may need a double layer drywall on the walls. It really just depends on your place in the world. All right, there's different codes for different places. That's all I'm saying. I don't want you to buy the wrong stuff. I use 1/2 inch variety. Okay, we need mud for the drywall. That's just a slang word in the business. It means joint compound. The joint compound is the paste that comes out of those 5-gallon buckets. You've seen them at the store. The 5-gallon buckets of mud or joint compound are used to cover the seams between the board to make it look like a seamless wall without seams. And what we use with the mud is the drywall tape. The tape goes into the mud, and that makes a seal between the 2 pieces of board. All right, a permanent bond, and then we finish it off with a few more coats of the mud so that it looks like one continuous wall. All right, so we got tape, and the last thing we need is the bead, and that's our corner bead. That's the 90-degree metal outside corners that we use on walls, ceilings, and soffits to give us that nice, crisp 90-degree bend. Okay, so the drywall, and we're going to say that's delivery 2. Okay, just the drywall. We'll figure out how many board we need, how many buckets of mud we need, how many rolls of tape, how many corner bead we're going to use, and we'll call Home Depot or whoever you want to order your materials through, and we'll place that one order all by itself. It'll come out, we'll finish the job before we move on to the next. All right, once the drywall's finished, I like to get into the painting stage. So we're going to say painting is next. Now, I'm only painting the walls and the ceilings at this juncture, okay? I don't like to install doors and trim before I get the painting done because I don't want to be cutting the paint around the trim. That's not the way that I prefer to paint. Now, there are some professional painters out there that do it for a living that'll say, look, finish the drywall paint ready, hang the doors and the trim, and then call me and I'll paint it all put together. But that's a little difficult for most homeowners because it's very hard to cut in all those doors and all that base trim, and if you're doing crown and chair rail, and paint the walls and the ceilings, okay? So paint your walls, paint your ceilings, and then get into the trim stage. So with the paint, we've got our paints, obviously, for our trim, our door paint, our semi-gloss, and our flat paint for our ceilings and whatever we're putting on our walls. We have all of our paints and primers. And then we're going to have, you know, painting tape and plastic to cover things up and all that good stuff, brushes and rollers and all that stuff to complete our painting project. So we have a list of painting stuff that we have to put together if we're doing our own painting. All right, once the painting's done, the walls and the ceilings, now we're going to order our trim. Now, the trim stage, you've got a lot of stuff going into your trim project. All right, there's a lot of different types of trim that make up a basement project. All right, and real quick here, we've got base trim. That's the trim that goes around the base of the basement on the bottom of the wall. You know, it can be 3-inch, 5-inch, whatever you want to see. It's really up to you. I normally try to match what's in the rest of the home for most of my clients, so it just looks like an extension of the house. So you have base trim, you have window and door casing, you have crown, if you want to do crown molding. You've got chair rail. The doors themselves. I consider the doors trim because they have to come at the same time. You got to put the doors in before you put the base trim on. All right, the doors normally go in first when you're trimming, then you'll follow back through with all of your base casing, window and door casing, crown molding, and whatnot afterwards. So we're going to get the doors on that truck. 3/4 round. We use that around the base of tile floor, vinyl floor, or wood floor to hide the crack between the floor and the base trim. There's OG, which is decorative molding for the front of like shelves and built-in shelf units and so forth and so on. So these are the main types of trim that I'm ordering for almost every basement job that I do for my clients. All right, 10. Once the trim's 100% done, I'll put in, now I should mention too that when I ordered the trim, I painted the doors and all the trim on sawhorses away from the walls first. Then I install the painted trim and doors. So again, all I have to do after I trim is go back and fill my nail holes, caulk my trim to the wall, and touch up where I nailed, all right? And just touch up the paint. Makes it so much easier than trying to go back and cut in all of your fresh trim that doesn't have any paint on it. To go back and put 2 coats on it once it's been installed is a real bear. So I paint it first and then I trim it. All right, now once the trim's done, I'm going to move on to my hardware. All right, now hardware is like the gingerbread to finish off a job, because now we've painted it, we've trimmed it, we're going to start dressing it up with the final touches. And that's things like doorknobs, door stops, you know, stuff for the doors, closet shelving. All right, all the stuff that finishes out your job. And you'll also have things like adjustable rods and clips. If you're doing built-in bookcases or built-in niches in the walls and whatnot, you'll have adjustable clips and rods to put the hardware together for the shelves for that. Little things like that. We'll go back in, we'll put, you know, like battery-operated smoke detectors in at this stage here that go to the finished painted surface. All that stuff there. Handrail going up the stairs, okay? We'll put that on at this juncture here. We'll put the handrail brackets on, we'll put the handrail on and all that. I'll also be ordering the handrail up here in the trim order, the handrail. All right, and that's the stuff for the handrail and the banister. All right, I have a banister rail at the bottom of my steps with the spindles, real nice. I'm getting all that on my trim order as well. So now we've got all of our hardware done. All right, we're getting close here. I know this is a pretty good sized list, but it's stuff that goes quick if you know what you're doing. I'm assuming you're watching these videos because you want to learn more about how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do all of this in my video series, in future videos. All right, next we've got our lighting. Our lighting. Now, we showed you up here that we put the recessed cans in the ceiling back before drywall. So we ordered the recessed canisters when we ordered our electric because it had to be in before drywall. Now down here we're going to be buying the trim rings for our recessed lights, okay? And we don't skimp on the recessed lights. Lots and lots of lights. We're in a basement, guys. It's one place where you want to really load it up with lots and lots of lights. Again, I mean, I put anywhere between, you know, 16, 30, 40 lights, recessed lights in the basement on different switch circuits, of course, not all at once. But yeah, lots and lots of lights. So we're going to be getting our trim rings for our lights and our bulbs. We'll be getting our surface fixtures, and those are like light fixtures that go right to the drywall ceiling that you turn on and off that aren't recessed. We also can talk about ceiling fans. I suggest everybody does at least 1 or 2 of those down there. Help keep that air moving and to help complement the HVAC system so it doesn't have to work so hard. So our ceiling fans will get mounted at this stage here, and they can have a light kit on them, all right, for some more light. And then we've got things like under cab lighting for if we're putting a bar in, we'll put some under cabinet lights underneath the cabinets for some mood lighting. We got sconce lights. You know, whatever your lighting plan is, you're going to be picking all that stuff up and installing all that as well. All right, number 12. Number 12 is something I do last on every job. All right, this is the last thing. Actually, it's second to last, but this is the last materials that are going on the job, and this is flooring. All right, carpet. And this is why I do flooring last and why I'm listing it last. The carpet should be like rolling out the red carpet. I mean, there should be nothing left on the project that needs to be done once the carpet goes in. So the hardware phase of the job and the painting phase of the job and whatnot, touch-ups, punch lists, get it all done before you bring the carpet in, all right? Because, I mean, I've learned trial and error here, guys. I have crews of men that are finishing these jobs. They got their work boots on, they got their shoes on, they're in and out of the basement, and they're carrying in dust and dirt as they're working. And they're still cutting small things down there, doing punch lists and whatnot. I don't want any of that dirt in my new rugs. You don't want any of that dirt in your new rugs. So plan your carpeting. Call your carpet installer when the job is 100% done. I mean, when it's move-in ready, all but the flooring, then call your flooring guy. I don't do carpet and padding. All right, we do tile, we do composites, we do vinyl, but we don't do carpeting. I think carpet should be left to a professional carpet installer. All right, they know how to stretch the carpet, they got the tools for it, and they're installing it over concrete, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. So I suggest you sub that portion of the job out. So the carpet would need to be ordered. Tile goes in at this stage of the game. Tile's probably, next to carpet, the second most popular flooring material for a basement. You got the tile, and the tile generally goes in, now if you got a bathroom or a bar, it's obviously going to be put in before you set your cabinetry and your bar, before in the bathroom you set your toilet and your vanity and whatnot. So, and if you have tile in like maybe half the basement or the whole basement, I don't know, a lot of folks do the entire basement. Wait until everything's done, because once you lay your tile and grout it, if they're still working over top of it, you have to cover the whole floor, because if they're painting over it, you're going to get things in the grout. Not so much the tile surface itself, but the grout will get stained and get ruined, so you just want to put the tile in last. All right, and then there's vinyl, which I can't stand. It's a disposable floor. I don't recommend anybody use it. I know it's still used in a lot of areas of the world, and it's a popular flooring item, but to me it's a disposable floor. It ambers, it tears, it needs replaced every so many years. Tile, on the other hand, for bathrooms and bars and entryways, it's a forever product. I mean, you lay it once, you seal your grout, and you got a forever floor. And it doesn't cost much more, sometimes even less than good, better, best. Best vinyl actually can cost more than some tile jobs. So consider tile before vinyl. And then we've got composites. All right, composite flooring. Composite flooring is like Pergo. Yeah, Pergo. Pergo looks like wood but isn't wood. All right, it's a floor that you can put in if you want that wood look, that warm look. All right, they also make tiles now in like 4, 6, 8-inch wide planks of tile, long pieces of tile that you can set and use brown grout, and it looks like a wood floor, and it's tile. It's amazing. So there are ways to achieve a wood look, a warm wood floor look, without using hardwood. You can't put hardwood over a concrete floor, and I don't suggest that you build a wood subfloor to install hardwood flooring in the basement. It's a waste of money, all right? And it doesn't hold up as well in the basement environment like a composite would or a tile would. All right, so there's all of our materials that are going into a typical average basement, into your basement. Now 13 is the last item, and really it's not a material. But I'm going to include it anyway because it's something that we have to pay for. So we're going to put it up here, permits. All right, building permits. If you need them, get them. Don't try to cheat the system. All you're going to do if you get caught is piss off your inspector, and then he's going to make it harder on you to get your inspections and your job completed. Call your township, call your city, call your borough, call your municipality. Find out if you need a building permit to finish your basement yourself. Now, a lot of places you only need a building permit if you're hiring a contractor. So I'm a contractor. I'm generally always pulling a building permit no matter what, whether it's required or not. I'm pulling one just to protect myself from the homeowner, all right, and the homeowner from me. No shoddy workmanship. Everybody shakes hands. Everything's by the book. Gets inspected. You may not need it in your area, but call and find out if you need it. If you do, get them. They're not that expensive. Some places are as cheap as 50 bucks. Other places they go by the cost value or the value of the project. So if the project's $20,000, $30,000, they're going to take that by a percentage and figure out the cost. But it's still not that bad. I think the most I've ever paid for a permit might have been 350 bucks. And that was a big job in a picky township. There you go. There's everything that you're going to be required to get to finish your basement. Now, not nitty-gritty fine-tuned. Like I said, I can't give you an explicit list right now because I don't know how big your basement is, and I don't know if you have a bathroom or a bar or whatnot. But for the body, the main body of the basement project, this is what's going to be going in. All right, now tomorrow I'm going to take all of these things and we're going to bullet them out here. All right, I'm going to come up with a price for each line here, and then we're going to come up with a grand total for a 1,000 square foot basement. That's what we're going to base it on. Okay, a 1,000 square foot basement, which is an average size job for me. All right, I range anywhere from 500 to 2,500 square feet, but 1,000 is like kind of the middle of the road size basement for my company. And I find that that's the most typical amount of square footage that's going to be done. So we're going to base our pricing tomorrow on a 1,000 square foot basement. And that way you can take that number tomorrow and you can apply that and begin to budget. Create a budget for your project. So then you can come up with your wish list, a bar, a bathroom, a game room, a bedroom, or whatever, and know if you can really afford it or not. All right, so you may have to back some things out of your master plan, is what I'm saying. I don't want you to get started on a project thinking that you're going to be able to do it all and then find out that you cut yourself short on the dollars that you actually had to finish the project. So we're going to create a fictitious budget tomorrow based on this exact material list, and you'll know after tomorrow roughly what the main ingredients of your basement are going to cost. That way you can start to put your final budget together and create your wish list for real. So I'll see you back here tomorrow and we'll get cracking on the dollar value of this list. See you tomorrow.